Speaking
Ukraine.
of suspicious, let's check in on Ukraine.
Fight for Ukraine. New world order.
Okay, there's been an interesting series of events here, and let's see if we can lay them out in a way that makes sense. I'm going to start out by heading over to CBSNews.com. CBSNews.com has a headline named "Why Military Aid in Ukraine May Not Always Get to the Front Lines," and you read the story now. And it's very much, I don't know. We don't know if all these weapons that we're sending over there are making it to the front lines. We just can't be sure, We have somebody now who just arrived who's, sort of monitoring it, but we really don't know. It kind of seems like this largely volunteer military with volunteers driving billions of dollars in U.S. weapons to and fro. It kind of seems like not all the weapons are not getting to the front line, to which, we say, yeah, duh. But the article was not always written this way. If you go there now, you'll see an editor's note at the top of the article. The editor's note reads like this. This article has been updated to reflect changes since the CBS Reports documentary Arming Ukraine was filmed, and the documentary is also being updated. Jonas Oman says the delivery has significantly improved since filming with CBS in late April. The government of Ukraine notes that U.S. Defense Attaché Brigadier General Garrick M. Harmon arrived in Kyiv in August 2022 for arms control and monitoring. So they're referring to this documentary. There's the CBS Reports documentary that came out. They were filming over there at least since April, and they found some pretty disturbing things about how the weapons were being delivered, diverted, not delivered, more diverted, things like this. But there was a complaint. There was a complaint by the government of Ukraine. And I was surprised. I was surprised that this got covered, actually, over at Insider. So if you go to yahoo.com, they have a mirrored article from Insider, and their headline reads, CBS partially retracts documentary that outraged Ukraine by claiming that U.S. weapon shipments were going missing. Ooh. CBS partially retracted a documentary in which it said that shipments of weapons to Ukraine from the U.S. had been going missing. CBS tweeted on Monday that it had removed a video promoting the documentary that included a months-old quote saying most aid was not making it to Ukraine's front lines. Why would they have to
Outdated.
mention that it's months old?
Outdated.
Oh, the quote's months old. You can't listen to the quote. It's too old. It's outdated. I mean, you have Nancy Pelosi trying her darndest to quote Benjamin Franklin and can't quite get it right.
Well,
so
you got
apparently,
I was thinking all the COVID stuff too,
Sure. Yeah. Same thing. Yeah. Well, that is a great point. In the article we covered last episode, where they were saying, yeah, the CDC was wrong last year, but today they're right. Okay.
Right.
So that was just outdated information, and now they're right. It goes on. It said it was updating the documentary called Arming Ukraine with new information about the delivery of military aid to Ukraine. Among the material removed was a quote the founder of pro-Ukraine nonprofit Blue Yellow, Jonas Oman, who said in late April that only around 30% of aid was reaching the front lines in Ukraine. CBS said, quote, since that time, Oman says delivery has improved.
Oh, good.
It also
to 33%. No, it doesn't.
They're not even saying that the quote was wrong. They're just saying that it's improved since then. And you think about April, I mean, that's when we really were sending a bulk of weapons over there. That was our big push. Yeah. And, billions and billions and billions of dollars of U.S. weapons heading over there. And only 30% of them were making it into the hands of the soldiers. CBS said that since that time, Oman says delivery has improved. It also noted that the U.S. had sent an official, Brigadier General Garrick M. Harmon, to Kyiv specifically to monitor the use of military aid. Now, they don't mention it right here, but you go back to that CBS article, and they mention that this guy, this General Garrick M. Harmon, Brigadier General, is over there, overseeing the weapons delivery, and that he got there in August. He got there in August,
which is
we've been sending billions of dollars in weapons for months. For what? 6 months now, almost.
Yeah,
and for 6 months, 30% of the weapons we sent were making it to the actual soldiers. And Rand Paul, if you remember, Rand Paul held up the last Ukraine funding going through the Senate because he was saying, hey, we should really have somebody looking at this. And he was lambasted in the Senate, in the media. Oh, he's a crazy libertarian lunatic. Why would we possibly not trust whoever's driving the pickup truck from the airport to the front lines to not deliver them? Turns out Rand Paul was right. Only about 30% of them were getting there. And now they sent somebody to monitor the situation in August. It is August 8th. As of today, Gons.
It's
the guy has only been there at best for 8 days.
Yeah.
Quote, we are updating our documentary to reflect this new information and air at a later date. Oh, we're updating the documentary. Okay. What do you think the chances are? An update would say they would leave the 30% info in there. They would leave the 30% quote and then say, since then, it's gotten better in August, do something like that. I would bet the whole farm on the fact that they take out that 30% altogether. I'm just saying it. CBS also updated an article accompanying the documentary. The U.S. and other nations have sent Ukraine vast quantities of weapons since Russia invaded on February 24th. Ukraine has repeatedly described the aid as a game changer, recently highlighted in the U.S. gift. Oh, it's a gift now.
It's a gift.
Is not a gift, Ukraine. I'm sorry. You're in debt now. You're in debt to us. Of HIMARS long-range artillery as a crucial tool. CBS noted that allied countries send weapons to the Ukrainian border with Poland, where they are taken hundreds of miles east to the front lines. The moving front and the need to rely partly on volunteers to transport the weapons, quote, has made the delivery of military aid difficult for those attempting to navigate the dangerous supply lines to their destination. Can you imagine the types of volunteers in Ukraine who would be, I'll take this load of weapons to the front lines. Yeah, sure. And of course they're disappearing. Of course they are. They're probably going to different, I'm sure a lot of them are staying in the country. We had all the gang wars break out from the first loads of weapons given to the public. And, there's oligarchs, there's warlords. They have just all the kind of same stuff, if not in Ukraine, then in the surrounding areas. Ukraine's Center for Strategic Communications and Information Security argued against the claims of the documentary, and then it has a tweet there. It described a series of oversight measures, which it said help keep track of donated weaponry, including a system also used by the U.S. military. Ooh, the U.S. military has a system to track weapons donations to the U.S. military? Who's donating weapons to the U.S. military? Okay. It noted that CBS did not initially ask Harmon, the U.S. senior officer, to comment. Quote, Ukraine has officially invited representatives of its partners to monitor the use of weapons, striving to ensure maximum transparency. Sure. Yeah. Mykola Podolyak, advisor to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, seemed to respond to the documentary on Sunday in a tweet that said Russia was trying to discredit Ukraine with allegations about where its weapons are. It's Russia!
It's Russia!
Russia has infiltrated CBS. Russia's state media outlets, including RIA Novosti and Channel 1, had prominently covered CBS's claims after they aired. Podolyak said the location of all weapons... Listen to this. Podolyak said the location of all weapons given to the Ukraine was known. Quote, this is a war live where everything is seen. This is a war live where everything is seen.
The quote exactly is, this a war live where everything is seen. Total accounting and control.
Yeah, total accounting and control.
Yeah,
that's how you know it's a lie, because it's just,
right.
It's bonkers, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's interesting because CBS sort of notoriously, is not afraid of broadcasting U.S. propaganda. So who is this U.S. propaganda? Who, from an intelligence agency?
No. Putin got into the editing room, put a gun to the back of the editor's head, and was like, put the information. Yeah.
And this matches up perfectly with what we've seen. I mean, it's the entire situation is ludicrous as far as the money in weapons that have been sent over from the U.S., especially at a time such as this. And, $50 billion, $60 billion. We just approved another billion that's going over there. Only 30% of it making it to its destination. What a great opportunity to destabilize a region that the U.S. can come in and profit from.
Yeah.
Again,
I was going to mention the headline of President Biden's new weapons package for Ukraine is largest one yet, Pentagon says.
Yeah.
Now they talked about the $9.8 billion they've sent already, and now another $1 billion. So,
and it would seem like a conspiracy theory if this hadn't happened dozens of times before.
Yeah.
This is what happened in Iraq. It's what happened in Afghanistan. It's what happened in Libya, I believe. We do this all the time. And that's why we have to send so much, is because so few of it actually ends up where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have Ukraine complaining about a documentary made by an American mainstream news outlet.
Yeah.
The Ukrainians get mad and they pull the documentary. They pull the article. They say, oopsie daisy, sorry, Mr. Zelensky. Okay, we'll take it down. They bend the knee to Ukraine and Zelensky not liking the CBS posting something that makes them look bad. And you have the U.S. media bowing to Ukraine, to a foreign government, because of saying something critical of them. I mean, what a wonderful media sort of ecosystem we have, where it's not just about the US government censoring media. Oh, but Ukraine can do it now. It's a total, not only is it a scam, and not only is it a shame, but it is a travesty for anyone who calls themselves mainstream media.
Well,
and
it goes
even
especially
further.
In this time when the mainstream media is doing whatever they can to regain credibility in the eye of the public, they try to do something that might move in that direction, but it gets squashed away. And we have open censorship, open book burning, as it were, of their own thing, of their own documentary. So somebody's getting killed or fired in the.
And this
CBS.
wasn't even like Ukraine being like, "Hey, please don't broadcast that in Ukraine, please." It's
pull it.
You pull it. Don't broadcast this to anyone. Nobody gets to know about the problems. We fixed it. We fixed it. We have a guy over here now. He's been here for 3 days. Pull the documentary. And just to back that up, because of course you can't just pull a documentary. Yeah. You have to demonize anybody who repeats the information therein. Newsweek.com. Headline: Russian state media picks up Lauren Boebert's claims Ukraine aid is scam. So right in the headline, you have Russian state media, bad guy. Lauren Boebert, bad girl, claims Ukrainian aid is scam. Oh, conspiracy theory. From a CBS documentary, they're connecting Russision disinformation and Lauren Boebert, evil Republican, white supremacist or whatever.
White nationalist, yeah.
Yeah, it goes like this. Russian news. Actually, you're right, because Lauren Boebert was also tied in with the Christian nationalism conversation.
Exactly.
So now you have Russia, Christian nationalism, and conspiracy theories all being tied together because of CBS making a documentary about Ukraine.
Maybe this whole thing was putting out this truth or attempting to put out a documentary for truth was a way to create this backlash and then tie people that they don't like politically.
It's
into
a good
the mix.
point. Yeah. It's a good point because it is weird that they did it in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Well, why else?
And to do it mainstream, because it's one thing to like connect Lauren Boebert to some documentary on Rumble,
right.
You know, to a podcast or something. But you put the documentary on CBS, mainstream, highly viewed news organization by normal, good liberal Americans, take it down because of Ukraine, and then connect it to Russia and Boebert. Yeah, that is one way to get a lot of attention. Yeah, to spin around on some politicians you don't like. It reads like this: Russian news agency TASS has quoted Colorado Representative Lauren Boebert in a report after she said the aid being sent to Ukraine from the United States is a scam. On Friday, CBS News' Twitter page shared a trailer for its Arming Ukraine documentary and said the money being sent to Ukraine was not regularly reaching its destination. It's not even money, it's the weapons. So that shows the journalism being done over there at Newsweek. Quote, the new CBS report documentary Arming Ukraine explores why much of the billions of dollars of military aid that the U.S. is sending to Ukraine doesn't make it to the front lines. Like 30% of it reaches its final destination, the tweet read. The tweet by CBS has since been deleted. Boebert shared this tweet on Saturday and added she believed the aid being sent to the country fighting with Russia was a scam. That's a weird way to say that. Why not just say Ukraine? They don't want to say Ukraine because it's, it's not about Russia. Ukraine. Yeah. It's about fighting Russia. Mm-hmm. The aid being sent to the country fighting with Russia was a scam. Wow, Newsweek. Quote, how many people were called Russian bots for saying this exact same thing since March, she said. This was a tweet by Lauren Boebert, I guess is how they're connecting this. Quote, now when CBS says it, it's perfectly fine. Whatever the case, glad the facts are out now. The majority of Ukraine aid is a scam. And it goes on. I think this also is one other possibility, either in conjunction or otherwise, is because the mainstream media is so highly controlled. It is weird that they would have done this in the first place. It almost seems like the human beings at CBS are kind of like, we have got to do some journalism here. We have somebody in there is not enjoying the sort of role that they've been put in as a mainstream media outlet, and just craved some sort of journalistic integrity, and got this greenlit, got it put out, and then got smacked down and canceled, just as if they were some conspiracy theorist podcaster or something. And it's a bit of keeping everybody in line, like CBS. If you don't stay in line, not only are we going to make you pull it, but we're going to connect you. We're going to turn you into the next right-wing white nationalist channel, kind of like Fox. Fox is trying to clean up their image as far as Trump and the right-wing extremism or whatever is concerned.
Maybe they're trying to clean up.
Maybe that leaves a spot open to be like, hey, fall in line, CBS, or else we are going to peg you as the new Fox or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it'll go that far, but certainly using conflict for attention and narrative spinning is nothing new in the mainstream media, and I think we're seeing a lot of that here. So, but
the good thing about this being on CBS is it is highly visible.
Right.
It's highly visible just how beholden the American mainstream news is to a foreign government. And that very simple fact should be enough to at least take some people one step forward in their sort of awakening or whatever you want to call it.